Okay, folks, we are back with some more Hebrew. We're going to try to talk about this verb form. And all of the verb forms are under the heading binyan. And so that's what this is here, binyan. And now, if you study a book on Hebrew verbs, you'll see that there are 7 distinct verb forms or verb systems, which mean various things. Sometimes the action is extended outwards of a verb, sometimes it's being received, sometimes there's some subtle nuances that set it apart from other types of verb forms. So in this particular case, we're going to be looking at the nifal. And so if you were to look at that, sort of like this, and written out, it would be like this, kind of like N-I-P-H-A-L, nifal. Okay, so see here. Typically, I don't get too many people in these classes because, frankly, it's a little above the level of a lot of people. So, see if we can get this in a group. Here we go. Okay, so we have the binyan nifal. And so basically, we've got these various verb forms. Now, for a lot of these, I'll be using Google Translate to look them up. And so Google Translate is a very good program to use. So this first one here, nishar. And it means remaining.
Nishar.
So it's nishar, okay? So meaning remaining, okay? So nishar, remaining. Okay, nimse, I think is like located. Nimse. Or available. Nimsa, or available. Nimsa is available, existing, or handy. Okay, and then niknas, I'm trying to remember what that one is. I think it's like niknas. Yeah, entered. Niknas, entered. And then nigmor, that might be nigmor or nigmar. Nigmar. Yeah, ends.
Nigmar.
Yeah, nigmar. Could also mean up. Nigmar, meaning up. Okay, but this they're choosing this one here to mean end because there's another one that's very similar to that. So this is all part of the binyan nifal. And so remember, binyan means like a building. And so, well, actually, you could think of it as, say, a menorah. And you have these coming out like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess we need another one, don't we? Something like that. 7 of them. And so, like, this is like a building. This would be like nifal would be on one of them here. And then there'd be another one here, and they all have different forms, essentially. So the noon in the present tense of nifal, binyan nifal, is not a root letter. Rather is a characteristic of the binyan, as the name of the binyan suggests. Okay, so if you just look up binyan, it
Binyan.
literally means like a building, but basically what it is a structure. So it's like a structure of verbs. Okay, so the infinitive form binyan nifal is distinguished by the hey yod. So it's like this he characteristic. It's like hey hirik yod between the initial lamed and the root letters. Okay, so the present conjugation of binyan nifal can be described as follows. Okay, so here's the shem hapuel. So this is the name of the verb, right? Shem hapuel. Yeah.
Shem hapoel.
Yeah, Shem hapuel is the name of the verb.
Shem hapoel.
Okay, so basically, it's all of these things in the structure are like a pattern. So notice how you have the pattern of Nikud here. You've got Shava, you've got Hirik, you've got Kametz, you've got Saray. And so basically any three-letter verb root form can fit in there. And it basically, whatever that verb form is, it is represented in a certain way in an infinitive form. Okay, so here is the hava, I think means present tense. Hava.
Hava. Hava.
Yeah, hava means present time. So basically, all of this is in the present. So you got the noon. That's a distinguishing feature of this particular verb form. So you got the noon here, you got the noon here, got the noon here, and you got the noon here. All of these are in the binyan nifal form. Now notice that for whatever verb form you have, there are other structures that mean different things. So this is just one of them that we're going to be going over. Okay, so the shoresh, that literally means the root. Okay, so I remember in every Hebrew verb root, you've got three letters. Here's your kaf, your noon, your samik. Then you've got mem, sadi, aleph. These are all part of roots. And then shin, aleph, resh. Okay, so basically, then on the next category, you've got shem hapuel, which is the name of the verb. Okay, so in this case, we've got lehikanes. And I think that one means to enter, if I'm not mistaken. Lehikanes.
Lehikanes. Lehikanes.
It's more like S, lehikanes, because it's using a saray. Lehikanes, look at that, lehikanes. Okay, so so basically what this is like a personal pronoun. Who means he. And then he means she, hem means they, hen means they, but strictly feminine plural. And then you've got tirgum, I think that's the translation. Tirgum. Yeah.
Tirgum.
Yeah, tirgum.
Tirgum.
Tirgum is the translation. So basically, so you got lahikanes means to open. That's the shem hapuel. That's the name of the verb. So what if you said he opened or he is opening? You would say hu niknas. He is opening. He is opening. What if you said she is opening? Okay, so that's what they want us to do here. They want us to fill this in. So basically, we're going to use this form right here. So if I were to guess that, it would be like, let's see, niknaset. I bet you something like niknaset. So if I put those letters in there, here's a noon. And then remember, we have to use all three of these in this form. So we're going to use a haf, and that's going to have a shava under it. Nik and then we have the noon, and that's going to have segol under. Nik, ne, because that segol is like S sound. And then you end with the samic, and that has segol under it. So we have nik, nes, and then notice this distinguishing feature, which tells us that this is a female gendered verb form. And so we're going to have a tav there. Okay, so essentially, if you were to say she enters, it would be he nikneset. He enters, that would be this one here. It would be hu niknas. He enters. She enters, he nikneset. So you kind of get an idea of what's going on here. Okay, so now let's take a look at this plural form here, shem, which means they. So, or hem rather. I'm sorry, I think I said shem. I meant to say hem. Shem means name, but hem means they. Okay, so nik nasim. Look at that, nik nasim. So they are entering, and notice that's a mixed plural. And so essentially it could be like just one boy and 11 girls, and it's still nik nasim. But if you have 12 girls all together, you would use this form here, nik nasot. Nik nasot. See that form there, nik nasot? That would be all girls, hen nik nasot. So it's like an all girls basketball team is entering the court. Hen nik nasot, they are entering. And it's referring to the all girls basketball team. You see that? And so what is the targum here? Which is the translation? So it means enter. Which I'm pretty sure what that niknas means. Niknasot. Hen niknasot. Yeah, they enter.
הן נכנסות. הן נכנסות.
Okay, so they enter. Okay, so that's essentially what they're asking us to do here. So once you have this chart, it's actually pretty easy to figure out. And let me check, before I go on, let me check one more thing here. Oh, somehow I posted twice here. Let's get rid of this. Oh, we've got our first taker this morning. Lori. Welcome, Lori. This is a recorded session for Hebrew. Good to see you this morning. For those of you out there that are following my Hebrew classes, Lori hails from New York, I believe. Is that correct, Lori? I think she does. Basically, we're going to continue on here. We're looking at these various verb structures, or the verb, basically the binyan, nifal means structure. So you guys remember that out there, binyan nifal. All right, so now let's take a look at the next one. Our shoresh is the root. And so take a look at this root here. We've got mem, zadi, aleph. So basically, I think that one means located. So if you go to the Shem Hapuel, which is the name of the verb, and we look up lahimse, let's take a look at that one. Lahimse. Okay. Okay. Lahimatse. Lahimatse. There we go. There should be, let's take a look at this one here. Nimsaet. Nimsaet. Yeah.
נמצאת.
Yeah, nimset.
נמצאת.
So basically, this is lehimsa means finding something or locating something. Okay, so so basically, if you were to say he found something, then we would use this form right here. And so we would start out with the mem, put that in there. And basically let's start with a hirik. So it's like me, and then the zadi is going to have a shava under it. So we got meets. And then we have a aleph, and that's going to have kametz under it. So it's like mitza, and then it ends with another, it's probably, I bet you it's mitza a. Wonder if it's another aleph. I might have to look at the Pa'alim program, which breaks down the roots. Okay, Mem Zadi Aleph. Okay, too fine. There we go. So here it is. It's motse. Actually, I think the future tense should be. Let's see, where is the imperative here? Lipsa a is to be found. Okay, good. And here it is nimse, nimsa. So it's noon. That's right. We've got that noon in there. There it is. That goes here. Okay, so it's nimse, is he found. Now, if you say she found, it's nimsaet, nimsaet. If you say they found, that becomes nimsaim. So let's put that nimsaim in there. So this is more intermediate for people that are a little more advanced in Hebrew. So if you don't know the Aleph Bet, for those of you out there that are following this, just get on my earlier videos and learn all the letters first, and then learn the vowel pointing and so on. And then you can, once you begin to practice with it daily, then you'll start to get into like an intermediate level, and start, you really start to enjoy it then. We start to get into it. Okay, so let's take a look at this one here. We've got hen, which means they. And notice that they is all girls. So if you say they are entering, it becomes nimsaot. So let's put that in here. We've got a noon with a hirik. Mem with shava. We have a zadi. And that has kametz. Now notice the pattern here. There it is right there. See it? Hirik, shava, kametz. Notice that pattern. So it should show up in our conjugation. Nim, mem, zadi. So we have hirik, shava, kametz. And then we have the ot ending, which gives us the feminine plural. So nimsaot. And then, so what does this mean? It means to be found. So it's like, I'll just put found there. Okay, so the first one we had was enter. The next verb form we have is found. So basically you could say he found, she found, they found, but they is mixed plural. If you've got at least one guy in a group of girls, it defaults to the masculine plural. That's how Hebrew is. If you've got all girls and no guys at all, and you say they found something, then it would use this form nimsaot. Okay, so remember that with Hebrew, with every form, you've got a he, you've got a she, you got a they mixed, and you got a they feminine. Okay, when you're talking about these pronouns of describing people doing things. Okay, so let's take a look at this Shin Aleph Resh one. Okay, so don't spend a lot of time, for those of you out there that are following these videos, don't spend a lot of time with books and things. If you want to learn Hebrew quickly, get a hold of a decent cell phone and download Pa'alim program, which basically gives you all the roots of Hebrew, and then use Google Translate for the phonetic, because Google Translate is like 99% accurate. So you'll be well on your way with that. Otherwise, that'll save time. So you're not having to page through a bunch of books to figure out, well, which chart to look at and so on. Back in the day, it was a lot harder to study Hebrew, but nowadays, enhanced by the use of technology, we can learn Hebrew much quicker if you know how to do it and you know the tools to use. So basically, I'm using this Pa'alim program, and we're putting Shin Aleph Resh in there. And what do we get? It means to remain. So first we had enter, then we had locate, and then we have remain. Okay, so basically, I'm going to take a look at this one here. To remain, and we're looking at the Nifal pattern. So what will this look like? So it's going to be Lahi Sha'er. There it is. So we're going to put a Lamed there, and then a He, a Yod, and then now we start to use these 3-letter roots, right? So Lahi Sha'er means to remain. So the Shem HaPuel, which is what's written up here, is the verb name. Well, the verb name is Lahi Sha'er, and Lahi Sha'er means to remain. So how do we create this verb to say he remains? Then we have to do she remains. Then we have to do they remain, but that's a mixed plural. Then we have to do they remain only girls, only women. You see, that's what's going on here with this situation. So, notice they have a blank here under who. Who means he in Hebrew, right? So if we want to say he remained, we're going to use nishar. So it starts with a noon, and it uses our trademark nikud, hirik, and here's a sheen right here. And so we use the shavah. Here's an aleph. We put a kametz under there, and we end with the resh. And so now all 3 of our root form letters are used, including basically what is the verb form signal letter, although it's not technically a signal letter, but it lets us know it's part of this verb form, nifal. Remember, there's 7 verb forms that you have to know, and that's when you get into the advanced understanding of Hebrew. When you've got those 7 forms locked down really well, and you know the nuances of each, well, you're well on your way to becoming conversant in Hebrew. Okay, so the first one we did was who, nishar, he entered. How about if you say she entered? Well, you're going to use this pattern here. And so it's going to be nish eret. So we have a noon, we have a sheen. Remember, in this verb form, it always starts with the noon. And there's our 3 letters of our root, right? Nisha, air, and it ends with a tav. So nisharet. So if you say he nisharet, you're saying she entered. Oh, she remained, rather. Not enter. I think we already did the enter one. This is remain. She remained. Okay, so now what if you say mixed plural, they remained? What if you say they remained? Well, you're going to use something, you're going to use this pattern here. Nisharim, they remain. Now, you could have 19 girls and 1 guy, and guess what? It would still be this form because there's 1 guy in there. That's how Hebrew grammar works. So you're still going to use this form, nisharim. That sounds somewhat chauvinist, right down to the very, the grammar aspect of Hebrew. But if you have all girls out and, or rather they decide not to go out, they decide to stay in and watch a movie, then you might use something like nisharot, and that's our next one here. But before we get to that, let's put nisharim here for they remain. So if you got a guy mixed with girl situation, they want to remain and watch a movie, you would use nisharim. We got a comment here. You're welcome, Lori. Okay, so nisharot. Now, if we say it's strictly girls who want to remain, it's going to be nisharot. And we have a holem and a tab to end that form, nisharot. So if you say hen nisharot, you're saying the girls remained. The girls remained. And so what is the Targum? What's the translation? What for all of this? Well, we've been saying it all along. It means to remain. Okay, so notice progressively on this chart, they've gotten more and more difficult because they're giving us more and less, they're giving us less and less clues. So we're down to the last section here, and they only give us one form. They don't give us the root, they don't give us the verb name, they don't give us the masculine form, they don't give us the feminine form. What do they give us? They give us just one form, the mixed form. So guess what? We have to discover, first of all, we have to discover what the root is by looking at this form. And so how do we discover that? Well, basically we can knock out the noon, because that's just the verb structure part. And we go to the next one, we get gemel, we get mem, and resh. So that's the shoresh right there. Gemel, mem, resh. So let's put that in there. So that is our shoresh, that's the root. So let's take a look at that in our Pa'alim program. Gemel, mem, resh, and what do we get? It means to complete. Means to complete. And we need the nifal form, right? We need the nifal. Going to be this one right here. Nifal, to come to an end, to run out, to end. Okay, so what is the Shem HaPuel? It's Lahi Gamer. It's Lahi Gamer. And it means to come to an end. To come to an end. So let's put this here. We got a Lamed, we got a Hey, we got a Yod. And here's our three root letters. We've got Gamel, we've got Mem, and we've got Resh. So Lahi Gamer means to come to an end. But what if you wanted to say he finished, or he had run out his race, or he had ended his project? See? Well, then you would use this form right here with these three root letters. So what are you getting? You're getting nigmar. If you say hu nigmar, you're saying he completed. He ran out the race. He ended the project, essentially, depending on the slight way that it's used in a sentence. So let's put a nigmar in there. Okay, so nigmar. So if you say hu nigmar, he completed. Now, what if you wanted to say she completed? She ended the race. She finished the project. What do we use? We use this form right here. So we're gonna use what's called nigmeret. Nigmeret. If you say he nigmeret, you're saying she finished the project. Or whatever you're finishing. Whether it's a race, a project, whatever you're finishing. Okay, nigmeret. Now they've given us the hem, haven't they? Which means they, which is mixed plural. But now we've got two more blanks to fill. We've got to fill all female, all girls. We're saying they completed the project. They ended the project, or they came to an end of their day, or something like that. It has to do with ending something. So we're going to use nigmarot, and here it is. Noon, a gamel, a mem, a resh, and then we're using this ot ending, which it signifies that it's all girls. It's all girls, nigmarot. Okay, so now we've come to the Targum, which is the translation. Well, we've been talking about it the whole time. It just means to end, or to run out, or to come to an end. Essentially, that's what it is. We'll just, for sake of brevity, put end in there. Okay, so the first one we did was the enter verb. Then we did the found verb. Then we did the remain verb. And then finally, we just did the end verb. And notice how on these charts, they get more and more difficult. They like on the first one, they give you all of them except for 2. The next level down, they give you all of them except for 4. The next one, they give you even less. And then finally, the one we just did, they only gave you 1 forms. So it is training your mind to remember these verb forms. And one of the reasons why Hebrew is considered one of the 2 most difficult languages in the world to know besides Chinese is because of all of these subtle variances in verb forms. Okay, but it's a very gratifying subject, and to just know that when you're reading the word of Elohim, when you're reading his word, there was the language that was used for this was the perfect language because it described the most subtle of nuances. Now, translators trying to get those nuances and put them into the language that you're reading, that's another subject. But the language itself, in its essence, is beautiful. And this is why we consider Hebrew to be the primordial language. Why it's considered to be the language and perhaps a more primordial form that Adam and Eve spoke and that angels spoke. A lot of the rabbis believe that. So it is a very worthy study, obviously, not only for religious reasons, but if you're traveling to Israel, you want to converse in Hebrew, you're going to benefit from these kinds of studies. Okay, so let's take a look at our answer key here. Double check everything. Get rid of this one here. Okay, so here we go. So here's all of these forms here. Number 1, we've got Targil Shavet, Targil 5. Let me double check that real quick here. Targil. Targil. There we go. All right.
תרגיל 5.
Hamesh.
תרגיל 5.
Hamesh is 5. Okay.
תרגיל 5.
Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to accustom everyone, even in the exercise descriptions, to get those things memorized. So here's number 1. We have Hasha'ah Kabar 10. Now let me double check this. This doesn't look like there was a. Make sure that number is correct here. Knock this one out. Let me close that one. There we go. Okay, so this is number 4. So we need to go back to. What we need to do is we need to go back to our answer key here and bring up number 4. All right, so go down to, we're on unit 3 now, answer key number 33, okay, and exercise 4. That's what we need. And we need to bring that. There it is right there. That's what we need right there. Okay, guys, we're on the right one now. Okay, so look at this chart. What we just filled in, the shoresh, that's the root. We have kaf nun samik. Look at all these forms here. So we've got the enter one, we got the found one, we got the stay one, and we got the end one. So if you say to enter, yeah, it would be lehikanes, to enter, right? If you say he entered, it would be a niknas. Who niknas? He entered. She entered. He niknaset. She entered. How about they entered, but it's a mixed plural? Hem niknasim. See that? That means they entered, but it's mixed. You got girls and boys together. But if you have all girls strictly, and you say they entered, it's niknasot. See that? Okay, and there it is. There's the Targum, which is translation, enter. All right, let's go to the next one. The next one is to be found. And here's the shoresh, the 3-letter root. Shoresh simply means root. All right, so then the Shem HaPuel, which is the name of the verb, is Lahi Matzeh. Lahi Matzeh. And it means to be found. To be found. Okay, how about if you said he found? Hu nimse. He found. How about she found? He nimsaet. How about they found? Mixed plural. Hem nimsaim. And how about they found all girls? Hen nimsaot. And there's your Targum, to be found. They were found. All right, this one here, we've got stay. We've got the 3-letter root. That's the shoresh, shin aleph resh. And here is the Shem HaPuel, which is the name of the verb. And here it is, lehishaer. It means to stay. That's the verb name itself, is the Shem HaPuel. What is it? It's lahishaer, meaning to stay. So what if you say he stayed? Let's say he stayed and drank coffee with the girl in the coffee house. Hu nimshar. Hu nishar. He stayed. How about she stayed with him on his invitation and drank coffee with him in the coffee house? You would use he nisharet. She stayed. If you said they stayed and drank coffee in the coffee house, it would be nisharim if you've got girls and boys together. How about if you just got a group of girls out and they're staying in the coffee house, they're drinking coffee? Nisharot. There it is. Hen nisharot. They stayed. And there it is. There's your Targum, means to stay. Finally, our last one here means to end. Here's our shoresh, gemel mem resh. Okay, so what is our Shem HaPuel? The name of the verb. It's lehigamer. Lehigamer means to end. Okay, so how about if you said he ended? Let's say he ended the class. You would say hu nigmar. He ended. That's if you got a professor, a male, that's saying he ended, and you're saying he ended the class. How about if it's a female ending the class? Nigmaret, nigmaret. See that? Nigmaret. She ended the class. How about if you're saying they ended the class? Maybe you got a panel of professors. Nigmarim. They're both female and male panel of professors. All right. How about this one? All girls, they ended the basketball training session. Nigmarot. Hen nigmarot. They ended. Okay, and what's our Targum? End. All right. I hope that's understandable to you guys out there. And the reason why I labored over this for so long, although I normally don't do that kind of explanation, is that when you start to get into these verb forms, I found that it's very useful to really begin to get very detailed on this and go through every single form here. All right, so let's go back now. Let's get rid of our, let's clear up our page here so we can function. All right, so let's go down now to this here. Okay, so notice this here. It says lehigamer indicates the end of an event. Okay, we've got another participant in our class. Okay, so lahigamer, we have the end of an event. The class ends, the show ends. Okay, so welcome, Helen, to the Hebrew class. This is recorded, so know that this is going on record here. So I'm just letting you guys know. And so we are basically on an intermediate. We just finished these 4 different forms of a Hebrew root form. And so take a look at this here. If you say lihigamer, it means to end an event, like class ends, or the show ends, or the basketball training session ends. It cannot be used as a transitive verb. For example, you cannot use it in a sentence, I finished my work. Okay, but in other words, now that's interesting there that they would put that there. So there's a subtle distinction there. So if it's in reference to work ending, it would use a slightly different form, wouldn't it? Okay, so the transitive verb is lahigmor. Ligmor, for example. Okay, so ani gomeret et ha'ovada beshesh. Okay, so I am finishing the job at 6 o'clock. I'm finishing the job. Let's take a look at that and double check that. Ani gomret et ha'avoda beshesh. Okay, that's right. I finish work at 6. Okay.
אני גומרת את העבודה ב-6.
Okay, gomeret.
אני גומרת את העבודה ב-6.
Yep.
אני גומרת את העבודה ב-6.
Yeah, beshesh, which is at 6 o'clock. So I finished. In other words, they're saying that you would use this ligmor form if it's in reference to work, but you use the lihigamer form if it has to do with an event ending. So that's important to know because notice the subtle nuance. With Hebrew, it's not just the same word. Now, if you're saying in English, now think about English. You use the word end for everything. You're ending a movie. You're ending your homework. You're ending cooking your supper. End. Guess what? Hebrew's not like that. Every different nuance has a different word that's being used. Very important to consider here. All right. Let me double check something before we continue on. Okay, so let's take a look at these words here. These are vocabulary words. Me'uhar means late. Me'uhar. So it's like if he's running late to dinner, some of you ladies out there might get a little upset at that. He's running late to dinner. Me'uhar, you would say, who me'uhar? He's late. Or if you say kaver me'uhar, it's already late. In other words, you're trying to get to the movie on time, and you say kaver me'uhar, it's already late. We need to get going, essentially. Implication here. How about mukdam means early. You show up at the movie early. It's mukdam. Mukdam, you showed up early. All right, so let's take a look here. Targil. Let's see, Targil. It's not shesh. Shesh is 6. Shevet, I think. Targila Shevet. Targila Shevet. I might have to switch my carrier here to get it to work better. Targila Shevet. There we go.
תרגיל 5.
Hamesh.
תרגיל 5.
All right. I'm gonna have to redo my Hamesh for 5 is 5. Targil is exercise, so Targil Hamesh 5. All right, so let's see here. Hashalem. Bapualim. Okay, so complete the verb forms. That's what that's saying. Hashalem bapualim. Hashalem bapualim. Yeah, complete.
השלם בפועלים.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think it uses that. I think it's poelim. Might be poelim instead of puelim. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, complete with verbs.
השלם בפעלים. השלם בפעלים. השלם בפעלים.
Yeah. Bifalim. Yeah, falim. So this is the verb form here. And this is verbs plural. And this is in other words, the form. So hashalem is complete the verbs.
השלם בפעלים.
Or with verbs, in with or on. The bet is in with or on. So with verbs. Pualim, bepualim. Okay, so here's these forms here. They want us to put one of these forms down there. Notice these are the forms that we just worked on. Okay, so we've got lahikanes, which I think is the entering one, right? Lahikanes. Yeah, to enter. Okay, so this is to enter. Okay, how about this one? Lahimse. Lahimse. Let's try that again. Mem Zadi Aleph.
להימצא. להימצא.
Lahimatse, to be found, to be found. Okay, all right, how about this one? Lahishaer. Lahishaer. Yeah, to stay.
להישאר.
Okay, to stay. All right, how about this one? Lahigamar. It might be mer, lahigamer. Lahigamer. Yeah, to run out.
להיגמר. להיגמר.
Okay, to run out. So it's like to finish. And remember, it has to do strictly with an event. The class ends, it runs out. I'm just going to put end there. Okay, so number one, we have hasha'a kaver, and this is the time 10. So it's basically you're saying it's already late. So it's the hour is already late. It's already 10 o'clock. So hasha'a is like the hour, and then kaver is like it's like already something, and then 10. Hasha'a kaver esrim.
השעה כבר 10. השעה כבר 10. השעה כבר 10.
Okay, eser. Okay, so that eser is 10. So hasha'a kaver eser. So it's already 10 o'clock. All right, so anaknu zerachim. So we need what? We need blank lakita. We need to what? How about we would use the enter one? If we're entering the class, we would use the lahikanis one, right? So if it's already 10 o'clock and the students are standing out in the hallway and they're saying to one another, it's already 10 o'clock, we better get into the class, right? But lakita, to the class. So if we're talking about anaknu, then we're going to use this mixed plural because there's probably girls and boys together that are going into this classroom. So which one are we going to use? Well, what I'm going to do here to make this a little easier so I can toggle back and forth is I'm going to double, let's see here, because we've got to have our chart, remember? So let's copy this here and let's create another tab. And then we're going to get our little chart, our handy dandy chart up here. Taking a look at it here. Okay, what we need is not this one. We need the answer key, which is this one here. That's our chart. That's what we need. All right, so let's get rid of that. Okay, so what are we looking for? For this one here, we're talking about entering the class. You got girls and guys out in the hallway. and they're saying hasha'a kever eser, which is it's already 10 o'clock. Anaknu is a richem. We need to what? To enter la kita, the class. And so we're going to use this one probably here. So let's look at our form here. There's the enter one, and here's the one we need right here. Nik nasim. We see that right there. So that's what I think needs to go in there. So they're saying anaknu zerichim nik nasim lakita. So we need to enter the class. It's already 10 o'clock. We need to enter the class. Nik nasim. Okay, so let's take a look at our answer key and make sure we've got that right. Okay, let me double check here. Let me get back to my right page. We need the proper page. Let me double check this. Anaknu zerikim. We need, and we gotta say to enter, right? To enter. So we're not saying we are entering. We need, because we're saying we need to enter. So it's going to be just this form right here. Because we got to include that lamed on there, which means to or for, right? So we need to enter. That's the proper way to say that. So let's put this right here, lahikanes. Okay, so now we've got anaknu zerechim lahikanes lakita. So we need lahikanes to enter lakita, the class. We need to enter the class. All right, so let's take a look at now at our answer key. I think we got that right now. Okay, so hashava, shaha kavar, eser. So it's already 10 o'clock. So the hour is already 10 o'clock. Anaknu zerikim, we need lehikanes to enter lakita, the class. There it is. All right, so that's essentially how those exercises are done. I don't know if I'm going to get through all of these today because I try to keep these down to an hour. And try to keep them in, yeah, we're at 52 minutes right now. So let's go down through a little more here and take a look at one here. Okay, so we've got a slika, which means excuse me. Afo, where, blank, hasifria. In other words, somebody's asking about hasifria. That's the library. So this is a student. They're saying slika, excuse me. Afo, blank, hasifria. Well, what are they asking about? If they're asking about the library, and they want to know where it's located, right? They want to know where the library is located. So guess what? We're going to use this one right here. This is the located one, lahim sa'e, to locate. So, but they're asking someone, and we can assume that it's going to be masculine singular. So where is located the library? Actually, hasifria, if we look that up on Pa'alim, we can get the gender for that. So let's make sure our gender is right. Because it has to relate, they're asking about the library, and so what gender is the library? Remember that even the library in Hebrew has a gender. Even a stone has a gender. Even a house has a gender. That's the funny thing about Hebrew. You know, in English, a stone is a stone. There's no gender involved. In Hebrew, there is. And guess what? It's going to affect the verb form. So let's take a look at Pa'alim. And what we're going to do is we're going to put Lasipria in there. Hasipria. We'll get rid of that hey, so that it'll pick it up. Library. Okay, so here it is here. If you look on this Pa'alim, I don't know if anybody can see that or not, but basically you look under there, it's a masculine verb. Or it's a masculine noun, rather. It's a masculine noun. Okay, so now we know. Now we know. Now we can go back here and we need to look at the masculine singular form for this right here, lahim sa'e. So we're locating something. So if we say who he located, I think it's going to be nimse. So let's take a look at it. Who nimse?
הוא נמצא. הוא נמצא.
Okay, let's double check at our we'll go to our chart here to be sure. Take a look at our locate one here. Okay, so here's the located one right here. This is to locate. To find, and there it is right there, nimsa. So we're going to use nun mem zadi aleph. Okay, so let's put nimsa in there. Okay, slicha, excuse me, efo nimsa hasifriya. Where is located the library? Where's found the library? He's asking, where's the library found? Nun mem zadi aleph. That's the form we should need in there. Because what is this library? We just learned it's masculine singular. So we're going to use the masculine singular form. Remember, you have to have matchy-matchy, as they say down here in the South. Everything's matchy-matchy. This is the way it is in Hebrew. Matchy-matchy, okay? Make sure that if the verb is going to match the noun, so it's got to match in gender and in number. There's only one library. We're not talking about Hasifrayim, which is many libraries. We're talking about one library, so it's masculine singular. We're using masculine singular of the locate verb. So slika, efo, nimse, hasifriya. So excuse me, where is located the library? It's essentially what that's saying there. So let's take a look at our answer key and make sure that's right. Okay, so we have slika, efo. Now look at this here. Hasifriya. They've got a names. You know what? I might stand corrected here unless this answer key is wrong. They've got nimsa et. They've got this thing as female singular, but I just looked it up on Pa'alim and it said library is masculine. So sometimes I've caught some mistakes in this guide. There have been some mistakes. So let me double check and make sure I'm getting this right. We've got a samach, a fe, a resh, a yod, a hey. That's it. That's the noun. It means library. And it most certainly is masculine. So I think their answer key might be wrong there. And I've caught them about 3 errors in this key so far. And what they do is they correct these things with every new edition. But I'm pretty sure that should be nimse, hasifriya, because it's a library, unless there's another rule. I think I might have read this rule a long time ago that even though the noun could be masculine, if it's a location, it defaults to feminine. And that's the way it is with nations. That's the way it is with cities. Let's take a look at that real quick. I'm going to put in into Google search field Hebrew grammar. We'll put locations are always feminine. Let's try that. I think that might be the rule. It is an exception. It's an exception, I think. I'm gonna double check that, guys, with somebody, but I think they've either got an error here or there's another rule that they haven't elucidated here. So let's go to the next one. Let's not get too much of a quandary on this. All right, let's try another one here. Abba va'ima, so father and mother, Ohulekim, are going, Laseret, to the movie. They're going to the movie. Hayeladim, and the children blank. What are they doing? Ah, look at that. Levad babayit. They're staying at home. Mother and father going to the movie without the children. Isn't that something? Okay, so we need to basically we need the one that stay. So it's going to be this one right here, sha'ar. So we're dealing with children. Hayeladim. I think it's going to be nisharim. Let's take a look at that one. Abba ve'ima holekim laseret. So father and mother are going to the movie. V'hayeladim, and the children. This is masculine plural. I think it's going to be this one here. Stay. What we need here is we need the stay one, which is nisharim. Nisharim. Yeah, to remain.
נשארים.
Okay, there we go. Nisharim. But I've got the spelling correctly here to put it in. Ah, I'll feel bad if I get this one wrong. Okay, Abba ve'ima holekim l'serach. So father and mother are going to the movie. V'hayeladim, and the children, and we should have, they're remaining at home. So what is it? It's noon. Shin, Aleph, Resh, Yod, Mem Sofit. So nisharim levad babayit. They're staying alone in the house. So there must be an older child that's looking after the younger ones. That's the implication there. So Abba ve'ima holekim l'seret v'hayeladim, and the children nisharim are remaining levad babayit. So let's see if nisharim is the correct answer in our answer key. That's correct. I can see it already. Abba ve'ima holekim. So father and mother, holekim, they're going laseret, to the movie. V'hayeladim, and the children nisharim are remaining levad, means alone, babayit. They're remaining alone at home. Alone at home. All right, so I feel better about this now. I got that one right. All right, we got a short one here, number 4. Before I do that, I think we're getting on the end of our hour. I might have to put a thing there. Yeah, we're at an hour. So what I'm going to do is highlight this number 4 and pick this up the next time. So let's just kind of review quickly what we've done here. Basically, we're looking at these. Basically, we studied all these different root forms, okay? And they have all different meanings. Like the Kaf Nun Samek has something to do with entering. Here's Mem Zadi Aleph has something to do with finding something. Shin Aleph Resh has something to do with staying or remaining. And then Gemel Mem Resh, root form, in all of its forms, has something to do with ending. And notice that it's specifically ending an event, like a class, like a basketball game, like something like that. And so remember, we learned that in this guide, there's a separate one for ending something else. And so then we learned the actual name of each verb. For example, to enter is lahi kanes, to enter, and then lahi matzeh is to be found. How about to stay? Lahi sha'er, to stay. And then finally, lehi gamer, means to end. And then we learned he did such, she did such, they did such, and they strictly, girls did such, depending on whatever these verb forms are. So that's essentially what this lesson is about. So I hope you guys out there that are watching these videos enjoyed this. and you're getting something out of this. The next time we're gonna remove this here. And next time we're gonna pick up again on Targil Shemesh Hamesh, which is Targil 5, and we're gonna pick up on Arba, number 4. All right, one more chance before I close the class. Any chance for comments or questions? Comments or questions, anybody? Okay, there's no comments or questions, then I hope you guys enjoyed this. And remember, there's midweek manna tonight, 8 p.m. Looks like we did get a comment. Quick for me, still beginner, thank you. Okay, no worries. Just keep working on it. Keep working on it. And, you know, I got the earlier videos. You can go through those at times. But also, I think you're learning at least a little bit here because you're starting to learn how the structure works. Even if you don't know all of the letters and so on, you're starting to look at the structure. Okay. All right, guys. Yah bless you and shalom, shalom.